You have a birthday every year. You blow out candles. You look at photos of yourself as a baby, wrapped in a blanket, held by people who loved you before you could even recognize their faces. But you don't remember any of it. Not the first steps, not the first word, not the face that fed you at 3 a.m. for months on end. Somewhere between being born and turning about 4 years old, an entire version of you lived a life you will never access again. And the strange part isn't that those memories faded. The strange part is that your brain built them, then quietly destroyed the only copy. Scientists call this infantile amnesia. It sounds clinical. It is anything but. It means every single human being on Earth carries the same mysterious blackout at the start of their life. Not because those early years were unimportant. They were, in fact, some of the most important years of your entire development. Your brain was doubling in size. It was wiring itself for language, for walking, for love. So why did it erase the footage? For a long time, researchers assumed babies simply couldn't form memories at all, that the infant brain was too underdeveloped, too raw to hold on to experience. It seemed logical. Babies can't talk about their day. They can't tell you what they had for lunch. Case closed, right? Except it wasn't. Because babies clearly do remember things, at least in the short term. Show an infant a toy, hide it under a blanket, and by around 8 months old, they will reach for it. That's memory. That's the baby holding an image in their mind of something they can no longer see. So, the storage system was working. Something else was going on. In the 2000s, a developmental psychologist named Carole Peterson began digging into this puzzle directly. She interviewed children about their earliest memories, then came back years later and asked them again. What she found reshaped the entire field. The children's earliest memories weren't stable. They shifted. They faded. Some completely vanished and were replaced by entirely different earliest memories a few years later. The system wasn't broken. It was still under construction. Here's where the science gets strange. Your hippocampus, the seahorse-shaped structure buried deep in your brain, responsible for converting short-term experience into long-term memory, is still growing new neurons at a rapid, almost chaotic pace during early childhood. And here's the twist. That rapid growth might be the very thing erasing your memories, not preserving them. A researcher named Frankland, working out of the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto, ran an experiment on mice that helps explain this. Young mice, still producing new neurons at a high rate, showed much faster forgetting of learned tasks than adult mice. When Franklin's team artificially boosted neurogenesis in adult mice, those adult mice suddenly began forgetting things faster too, almost like babies. The new neurons were wiring themselves into existing memory circuits and scrambling them in the process. Your brain wasn't failing to save your early childhood. It may have been overwriting it, one new neuron at a time, just to keep building itself. Think about what that means. You're not missing your first memories because your brain wasn't paying attention. You're missing them because your brain was under so much construction that the walls kept getting torn down and rebuilt before the paint could dry. There's a second piece to this puzzle, and it has nothing to do with neurons. It has to do with language. A psychologist named Katherine Nelson proposed that autobiographical memory, the kind of memory that lets you narrate your own life story, doesn't fully activate until a child develops enough language to organize experience into a sequence. A beginning, a middle, an end. Before that, a toddler's world is a series of disconnected sensations. A smell, a warm hand, a flash of color. Without language to stitch those moments into a story, there's no narrative thread for the brain to file away as my life. The memory needs a language to be written in, and for the first few years, that language software simply hasn't finished installing. So, two forces converge at once. A hippocampus rebuilding itself so fast, It can't hold on to stable copies. And a mind still learning to speak, which means it hasn't yet learned how to tell itself a story. Together, they erase almost everything before age 3 or 4, and blur nearly everything before age 7. But here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Those years still shaped you. You don't remember learning to trust or not trust the people who held you. You don't remember the tone of voice that made you feel safe, or the one that made you flinch. But your nervous system does. Not as a memory you can replay, but as a pattern, a kind of emotional shorthand, baked into how you react to closeness, to strangers, to being left alone in a room. The memory is gone, the imprint is not. This is why some psychologists argue that infantile amnesia isn't really a gap, it's a translation error. The information from those years wasn't deleted. It was converted into a format you can no longer read consciously, but one your body still runs on every single day. Consider what that does to the idea of who you really are. You like to think your personality was built from experiences you can recall. The friend who betrayed you, the trip that changed your perspective, the moment you decided to be brave. But underneath all of that sits a foundation poured before you could remember pouring it. The temperature of the home you were born into. Whether your cries were met quickly or left to echo. Whether the world in that first blank chapter felt safe or unpredictable. None of it is retrievable. All of it is still load-bearing. There's an odd comfort buried in this, if you look for it. It means you are not simply the sum of the stories you can tell about yourself. You are also the sum of everything that happened before storytelling was even possible. The parts of you that feel the most instinctive, the most just how I am, might actually be the oldest parts of you, the ones laid down before your brain learned to keep receipts. And it explains something else too. Why certain feelings show up in your adult life with no clear origin. A specific kind of loneliness. A comfort you can't explain around certain sounds, certain smells, certain kinds of silence. Researchers who study early attachment, building on foundational work by Mary Ainsworth decades ago, have shown that these pre-verbal experiences with caregivers create working models of relationships that persist long after the specific interactions are forgotten. You're not imagining that some emotional reaction feels older than your memory. It genuinely is. So the next time someone hands you a baby photo and says, "Look how happy you were," understand what you're actually looking at. You're looking at a stranger who, technically, is you, living through the most formative window of your entire existence, building the emotional architecture you still live inside, and doing all of it in a language you will never be able to translate back. You didn't lose those years. Your brain simply used them for something more important than memory. It used them to build the thing that would eventually be capable of remembering anything at all. You, the one reading this right now, wondering what it felt like the first time someone said your name. That feeling is gone. But the person who could one day wonder about it, that's what those years were for.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.